There's me. If you don't know, the best place to look for information on Meshtastic is meshtastic.org. That's the official website for it. Um, Straight from the website, Meshtastic is off-grid communication for everyone. Decentralized, peer-to-peer, doesn't require internet, doesn't require cellular network. Depending on how you do it, it may require a cell phone, but you're not going over the internet using the cell phone. It's just Bluetooth to your device, um, and you're offline with that. Um, okay, Meshtastic is a network application based on the LWRA protocol, which stands for, great acronym, it stands for long range. So radio frequency uses spread spectrum transmission, which means it uses multiple channels. It does a little channel hopping, that kind of stuff. It's designed to go long range. Keep in mind, we're talking 900-ish megahertz, so long range is relative, a few miles, depending on height. You get up there, the world record is 930 miles, but that was over sea, and one side of it's a giant tower. So at land, it's 400 something miles, and it's big tower to big tower, nothing in the way. But generally, you're talking 2 to 3 miles. You can get better if we've got something up. Florida's flat, so we're kind of fighting a losing battle with that here, but it's great for IoT things like weather stations, satellite telemetry. A lot of the little, what they call CubeSats that they're sending up, they're using LWRA to send their telemetry back. Small packet transmissions, text is great, that kind of thing. My weather station that I've got in my backyard sends its messages to my base where, it receives everything over LWRA. So it is definitely does work. And I'm a nerd. I do networking stuff for years. Don't know if anybody here is familiar with the OSI model. This is the OSI model. It's how data transmission works. LWRA is handling layers 1, 2, and 3. So even though it's radio, there's a physical layer to it. And then the Meshtastic application handles the rest of it. And that's just for other nerds like me. That's not anything that's very important as far as it working, but that is something that some people might be interested in. What does it actually do? The basic stuff Meshtastic does is allow text messages and location sharing. So it's kind of a little bit like APRS, and like APRS, it can do a little bit more with add-ons. So this is a board here that I've got that's the Meshtastic attached to it. There's a Raspberry Pi, and this haven't used it in a while, but it was set up for one of our QRPs that we're doing Meshtastics to do a bulletin board. So you could old school bulletin board over Meshtastic. You could message it and it'd give you a menu. You could do send, store and forward emails, that kind of stuff. There's gateways for regular radio protocols to Meshtastic. APRS, JS8 call both have gateways to Meshtastic that you can install on something like that. Now, it doesn't go the other way, because to use Meshtastic, you don't have to have an amateur radio license. To use those applications, you do. So they don't want, the people that have set up things like that don't want messages going back, because then they could be in trouble if somebody that doesn't have a license decides to send a message through there. And then there's also TAC integration, which TAC is a Tactical Awareness Kit. what it's actually a government software, but what they use it for is like the military. You can use it. Things they recommend it for is hikers. Everybody's got TAC. You can see where everybody is and send messages back and forth. But Meshtastic has a integration with TAC also. Y'all sold yet? So what kind of things do you need to run Meshtastic? You can use a standalone device. They do make standalone devices. LilyGo TDEC, there's a few more different ones. But this one, this is all you need for it, is this device. Most things you're going to need, most devices that you're going to use are going to be something like this, or this is actually my favorite device. But these devices pair Bluetooth to your cell phone, and then you've got an app on your cell phone that allows you to to access it and send your messages back and forth. This one's a little bit neat. This is a Heltec. It's called I forget what it's exactly called. But the cool thing about it is also a power bank for your cell phone. So that's definitely an interesting device. So you'll need the mobile app. There's both iOS and Android. They've got actually the little device here. I don't have one, but it's called a mesh cap. There's a few different versions of it. If anybody's got one of the RF badges to slide in at work, it's about that size, and people actually will carry them around attached to their badges for work. So you definitely get them where they're made to be convenient and where you don't have to worry about the device. Like this device, clip it on a backpack and you're set to go. You worry about your phone, you don't worry about it. All right. And the most overlooked thing that you need that people don't talk about is you need people to talk to. Meshtastic just doesn't work the same if you're talking to yourself. I live in Eagle Lake, and until recently, that on the right there is my node, the R1DW. The R1WD is on my desk. Normally, until recently, this whole area here that's got nodes now would not show anybody, but you can see, thanks to somebody flying over with an airplane, I've picked up most of the nodes in Polk County. By the way, please don't do that. I'll explain more to you why, but the Bean Tech is somebody, maybe in my neighborhood, I don't know, but close by, that just started popping up. And some people driving by, we've gotten further. Polk School's radio shop is Alan, if y'all know Alan. That's his. So yeah, it's one of the most important things to Meshtastic is that you need others involved in it. And the more people that get involved, the better it works. And I'll discuss, because I'm going to go into the basics of the setup. I'm going to run you through the apps a little bit, but people can put up a infrastructure node like this one right here. This one would go up on a pole, and then Ethernet cable power. It can get power over Ethernet. I can put that up, leave it, and that would help broaden the mesh. If I can get it up high enough, can't get it up high enough, but it's probably going to go up on the eave of my house. But there are nodes here that serve as infrastructure repeaters. I say repeaters, routers, that kind of thing. I'll discuss it later, but there's specific modes you want to use and specific reasons. But overall, the more devices there are, the better the mesh is. So, if you've got a tower up at your house and you put a node up on the tower, that's going to help you at your house reach other people because it'll do multiple hops, and that'll also help other people reach other people. It is encrypted. There is a mode that you can set that's not encrypted as a radio amateur, and you get a little bit more power because it is in one of our spectrums that we are a secondary user on. but I don't recommend doing that because you won't have as many people to talk to because most everybody uses the encrypted feature. So once you get a new node, we'll go over some basics of setting it up. I've got some good screenshots here. I know that some people want to know how to do stuff, aren't as savvy with doing the phones. So left side's going to be through these is going to be your Apple phones, iOS. Right side will be Android. I happen to be somebody that owns both devices. I prefer Apple. You know, if you use Android, you're wrong, but we can disagree. It's fine. But there are apps that work on Android that necessitate me having both. The first thing you want to do is you want to download the app. It's right in your regular app store. You want to power on your device. And then once you've got your device powered on, you'll go into the app. And both of them have a connect button. It's right here on iOS, the far right icon on Android. And you'll see a list of stuff that's open Bluetooth nearby you. And it'll have a MAC address. You connect to the MAC address. If it's a device like this that's got a screen on it, it'll pop the Bluetooth pin up there. If not, it's got the very secure Bluetooth pin of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then once you're paired with it, the first thing you're going to want to do, because you're not going to transmit, is you'll go into the settings, find the setting for LWRA, select your region. We're in the United States. That determines one thing with these devices is when you're ordering them, it's not as much of a problem as it used to be, but you want to make sure you're 900 megahertz. In the US, that's the ISM band. Ham is secondary on it. ISM is industrial, scientific, medical. So that's an open band that anybody can use under 1 watt. So I don't know if everybody remembers recently that there was a cell phone company that was wanting to take part of that band. And everybody's like, no, 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 you can't do that. That's why. Stuff that uses that band is like the tags, if you use SunPass, those kind of things are what uses that band. So that's why it's low power, is because there's other stuff on that band, but with it being that band, it's open, anybody can use it. You can get a device for your wife, your kids, whoever, hand them a device and they can use it, no problem. So you select United States, your device will reboot. Then you get to have fun. Then you come in and you name your device. I name mine with I've got multiple devices, so I name it with my call sign and then underscore what the device is. Like this one's Pocket, the one that sits on my desk all the time is Desk. And then you have to define a short name for it, a 4-character name. I do R1W and then whatever to describe the device. You can leave it to default, which is the last 4 of the MAC address of the device. There's where the licensed operator will show up also. Like I said, I don't recommend it because it turns off encryption. Most of the devices don't actually give you more power, but all the devices, any device that does has a limiter on it for power that that licensed operator toggle will give you more power if it's available, but most devices don't, so you're not gaining anything and you're giving up encryption and you can use it without a license, so no reason to do it. Now, they do have devices that are on 430 something megahertz. Nobody uses them. If you had a couple of hams that wanted to use them, you certainly could. Like I said, you wouldn't get encryption, but then you could use, 50 watts if the device could do it. That would be the advantage of it. For most of these devices, it's not worth it. Then you would go in, next thing what you would do is you would go into your Bluetooth and like I said, if it's got a screen, it's going to give you a random pin. If it doesn't, it's going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you'll want to reset it. But if you've got a device with a screen, leave it on random because you gotta have the device to connect to it. You got to look at the screen. And if you forget your pin, if you do change it, all's not lost. You just have to factory reset it. Now here's the kind of contentious part, is you select what you want your device to be. It's got client mute, client hidden, tracker, lost and found. I don't know what that is. Sensor, TAC, router late. Router late is actually a new mode they added. Around here in Florida, we're flat. There's devices that there's reasons. There's devices should be in client. Client is gonna, if regular client's gonna repeat everything that it hears, client mute. So something like this that I'm gonna stick in my pocket and it's not really gonna add to the mesh. I've got this device set on client mute. It'll hear everything, but it doesn't retransmit because it's not adding anything to the mesh. So a device like this, it's up in the air, the one that's on my desk that's always sitting there, I have them set to client because they retransmit and they add to the mesh. They make the mesh better for everybody else. One thing about it, I'll get to channels later. Even if your device doesn't have that channel in it, it'll rebroadcast it if it's on client. And me and you have our own private chat channel that's encrypted, and this device is somebody else's in the middle of it, but it's between us two. It'll go through this device. So you're adding, by being in that mode, you're adding to everybody else's experience. Do not use any of the router or repeater modes. We'll discuss what those are for. We're flat in Florida. A router, when it's in router mode, it's great if you've got a mountain and it's at the top of the mountain and there's a valley on either side. But what router mode does is all the devices in the area, before they send to anybody else, they'll send to that router first. So here in Florida, we're flat. If you're in router mode and you're 3 miles away and I've got a sketchy signal to you, all you're doing is causing where I can't talk to anybody else. So there are we have encountered some devices. If anybody's more interested, let me know. Actually, probably if you got signal and you got Alan, let Alan know. But there is a Meshtastic group that's mostly people in Polk County. And we kind of discuss when people are putting up new nodes, kind of discuss and help them out, tell them, what modes, try to give them hints, discuss things like making solar nodes, stuff like that. So that is an option. But again, don't put it in router. You're just going to make people mad. You're breaking it for everybody. And then, once you're set up, you're set to go use your device. You'll have a few different channels that come up. There's a Polk Locals channel that's not very active. We set it up just to test, and at the time we set it up, the mesh was really spread out and really was just pockets here and there. But once you go into your default channel or your long fast. So on iOS, it'll show primary. On Android, it'll show long fast. Say hi. People, if they hear you, they'll answer you. Most people, it's still a new enough technology. Most people get excited to see somebody else talking. So if you're lucky and you're in a great area, somebody will reply pretty quick. I'll be honest, I've gotten very lax because my area, for a long time, it was just me talking to myself. So if you're in my area, I'll answer you eventually. I did answer myself. I had this device here and was talking through this device to my phone just to make sure it worked. This again, we go back. the technology like this needs people to work. That's the biggest thing is mesh. You're not going to do it alone. You need other people. So I encourage everybody to do it because the more people get involved, the better it gets. Once you're hooked up, there's a little place here that says nodes. You can go there. If you see a node nearby, you see anything that says KR1W on it, you click on them and, or actually here, before, I forgot what this screenshot was. I recommend when you go in, and you have to do it every time that you open the app, but that you go in and set the filters to online. That way, hide offline nodes on that way. That way you see people that their nodes are active. This does store a list, so if you just go in there and click somebody, you could be talking to somebody that their node's been off for 5 days and you just happen to have your node on the last time they were on, kind of thing. But once you do that, click on one of the nodes that you see in your list after you've filtered it, and you'll have an option to send. And then when you get the flyovers, so you'll get planes that'll fly over, and all of a sudden you'll have 50 nodes from Miami pop up. It happens. I don't talk on Meshtastic when you're flying, but if you really want to do that, I recommend you put yourself in client mute. That way you're not rebroadcasting and giving everybody extra nodes they don't want. But if you get that, both apps have this reset node database. Unfortunately, that clears out everything. But as soon as stuff is back online, 5 minutes later, if there's stuff in your area, you see it again. So that's a good way to do it. Depending on the device you pick, if it's ESP32 based, you can connect it to your Wi-Fi. And if you're somebody that prefers to use a computer versus your phone, there is, through the Meshtastic website, a applet you can use to interface it from your computer from a web browser. So you're not just limited to having the cell phone. I know some people, especially when they're at home, don't like using their cell phone for everything. I'm one of those people. I did for a while have my node connected, my desk node connected that way. I kept forgetting to check it, so I stopped that. Again, there was nobody around. Here's a good list of resources. Meshtastic. There's also a Meshtastic is open source. There is also another runs on the same hardware called MeshCore. We collectively, the group in the Meshtastic group, we discussed it for a little bit and then decided not to use it because it is closed source. And to get some of the features, it will work without paying for it, but there's some advanced features you have to pay for, and we just didn't like that. The comms channel on YouTube, he's switched over to MeshCore, but he's got a lot of older relevant information. He's actually the guy that wrote the BBS that you can run on these, on something like this. So he's still a good resource because all of that still works. Altavox, Ham Radio Crash Course, of course, he does stuff on it. Most of your YouTubers do at least some of it, but these two are their channels are pretty much relegated to information about Meshtastic, MeshCore, that kind of thing. And here's a list of some places to buy. I recommend Rockland to everybody. They're in Gainesville. So you're supporting a local business. And they sell devices from Rack Wireless, Liligo, Seat Studio. All of those are based in China, but Rockland sells their devices. And then you've got Spec 5, who they tend to lean towards the more tactical. They've got some separate software that does integration into TAC again. Of course, you can find stuff on Amazon. Again, I recommend Rockland. They're the local people. Keep your neighbors employed. And That's pretty much it. Anybody got any questions or? Yeah, go ahead.
How many hops?
You can set it. The default is 7, and 7 will get you pretty close to the edge of range of what you'd want to talk to. 7 would probably, if you got a something up in the air somewhere in it, would cover pretty much most of the county if we had something like that. You know, the highest thing we've got that I know of is about 40 or 50 feet in the air. So, but yeah, 7 hops.
The same technology that they're using with motorcycle helmets. Miles with.
No, they're actually using FRS, which is when you're a kid and you had your walkie-talkie, that's FRS. Some of them use GMRS, and some of them do actually use VHF and UHF if you get a group of them that's hams. But most of them use FRS. Yeah, because they'll talk to each other. Now there's some proprietary stuff that's in some ranges that are using a similar thing, but they're doing voice. This limits the packet size to try to get you as far as possible. So that's why it's text only. The guy that makes these devices, this is a brand called Low Mesh, which Rockland sells. I was going to put his on there, but he really doesn't have any devices for sale. But he's done some optimizations to the firmware to where I got this at Hamcation, and about a week later, I charged it all the way up and powered it up, and I haven't really been using it. Last time I looked, it still had 80% battery. So he's done some optimizations on Bluetooth and on Meshtastic has a lot of overhead in the packet header, and he figured out a way to, instead of doing the full packet header every time, but he's gotten more range and really, really good battery life out of it. But he is working on getting voice over these. With his optimizations, he thinks he'll be able to do it. So you can get just the boards and DIY for 20 something bucks, and then something like this is about 60, 70 bucks. This, which of course is, it's waterproof and all of that, and got a nice antenna. This is like 140. If you get solar stuff, you can get up in the couple of $100 bucks, but it's relatively low cost of entry. My favorite device here, the one that's got the battery charger on it, I got it for 70 bucks. You're getting a battery charger too. So.
I just don't know what's the battery charger. What frequency you said it uses? 900?
Yeah, it's around 915, but yeah, 900 to 950 something is the ISM. It shouldn't.
That's 906 to 916.
It might cause a little bit of problems, but the way that it transmits, it hops, so it shouldn't be. And Z-Wave, I know, has an authentication layer where it beacons and has to authenticate, so it should get around it.
I have enough issues as it is now. We can't figure it out.
Yeah, I use Zigbee at home, so I understand that. But yeah, you might get a little interference. I'll be honest, my work headset uses 900 megahertz. I've got a DECT headset that's on 900 megahertz, which allows me to walk all over my house, and I've never had any problems with it interfering with it. But that's 915, so it's like 907 to 922, and it hops across that.
What are some of the negative effects of having nodes in the node database that you don't want? So fly over and fill up.
It's just you see more in your list, and then you have to go in there and you hit offline, and you know, you got a list of 100 and it all of a sudden is down to 2.
Is it the negative part of that is trying to broadcast?
No.
All these
It's
afterlife.
no, nothing like that. It's just annoying. Just personally annoying.
Would there be any advantage if you set up a solar node on in one of our repeater sites up high on a tower or a water tower or someplace? Would we see some advantage to make it?
But funny you say that. I know Alan was working with Dan on trying to get something over at the GMRS site. But yeah, if we can get it up, there's a couple of things that are challenges on it. That site is good because we've got access to the roof. Don't want it on repeater, nope. But they do get, it's not as frequent now as it used to be, but firmware updates, and you have to at least be in Bluetooth range to do that. So
Can't do that over Wi-Fi.
if you put it in Wi-Fi mode, yeah, you could. There's a way to do that. But yeah, you got it. You have to have an ESP32 device, which uses more battery than the other NFR. It's Nordic chip. Uses less
We had
power.
a good solar cell.
Oh yeah. So let's say put a hotspot on your phone, and you set it to connect to your hotspot, and then you walk up and you connect, and you know you're down here, it's up there. Then you're limited by Wi-Fi. But yeah, you could do something like that.
Just gonna, as a follow-up, would it be good for the club to be thinking about this and invest a little bit to perhaps see if this technology is just one more way we could, advance the radio art, as they say?
Yeah, we've got a few people, not directly the club, but the group that's separate. Like one of the areas we were thinking is in Eagle Lake, right there at 540. There's the storage that they built. We're thinking about we've been talking about trying to contact those people and get it up there. You're up in Lake Alfred, right?
Yeah.
You know where the brewery is?
No.
There's a brewery up in Lake Alfred that's got a tower, and actually one of the guys in the group has a node up on that tower. So
Well, so far I've been able to reach nothing, but I've had it on advanced mode because I'm an amp, so I didn't know that was proper.
yeah, that could be yeah. The default channel has a little bit of encryption on it, so you might not see it. Like
What is the power level?
1 watt.
1 watt?
1 watt is top. Most everything's doing about 500 milliamp. Whatever output that is to, about half a watt.
But a gain antenna like one of those antennas.
Oh yeah,
Actually would make a huge difference.
yeah. And for like you, if you put something up at your house, up a little,
Some type of dock, maybe out of dock.
dock, and maybe use a fence. Yeah, we're in Polk County. We use fence rails. Fence rail up the side works great.
So 900 megahertz. Let's just go theory. If we were to put those on the GMRS site, what we figured in, that's about 300, right at 300. Yeah, right at 300. With it being 900 megahertz, is it going to be a typical 800, 900 megahertz fall where that signal is going to fall like an umbrella as opposed to transmitting out like we're used to VHF and UHF doing? Is the height going to matter that much? What I'm asking.
It matters quite a bit. Somebody took a drone up around 400 feet, and most of the people in the group got them. So
Well, there's 3 that are on all our buildings here in town.
yeah,
They do real well. In fact, the guy that's got one here in town lives in Auburndale. He talks back and forth to Auburndale.
yeah. There's and it's people from that group. No, Ben Pugh. Yeah. Ben's got stuff out everywhere. I put a solar node with a guy that's got it. He's got it at the top of a telephone pole at 540. That road that turns when you turn on 540 off of 17. That road that turns right after the gas station there. There's one up there on the top of a telephone pole. It's a light pole. It was electric. What it was is there was electric lines went across his property, and they moved him across the street. And when they did, they asked him. He was like, "Hey, are you gonna take down the pole, or can you leave it?" And he said, "Well, it's on your property. If you want us to leave it, and you're gonna be responsible for it, we can leave it." So it's left, and I had a solar node that was on the back of my house that wasn't doing any good, so I had to put it up there, and it helps a little bit. It's still, he's got enough tree cover around him. It's not that great.
The smaller device, like the one that you like.
Yeah.
Can you connect an external antenna to that, or
Oh, yeah.
is it self-contained, or?
No, it's got a SMA right there.
What about the yellow, white one?
The yellow and white one, no, you can't.
So it's just meant to be portable, really.
Yeah, it's meant to be. So this device, like I said, I keep it on client mute. I consider this a personal device. It's not going to help anybody out but me. And I've turned it off because I was hauling people around and the cords were in the way. But I had a node in my car with a little antenna up of it that I left on client. And then when, if I went in somewhere, had good connection to that, and that was outside kind of thing. But
So the SMA, like the one that you have at your desk, is like your main one. Is that connected to an external antenna?
no, it's inside, and it's a little bit bigger than that. It's probably about that tall. When I did have the solar node, it was kind of a jump between the solar node and outside and inside. It's not I could put a outside antenna on it, or an antenna in the attic would help too.
So is it common for people to have like two devices, like one mounted on the outside of the house?
Yeah.
And then a personal?
Yeah, most everybody I know that's using it, they've got something like that, as best they can. Homeowners associations.
Inside the house, outside, and then from there to wherever.
Yep, because you got a little bit more height and a little and less obstruction. So.
That it?
Anybody, any more questions?
Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody on the online got any questions?
Anybody got questions? You turned the mic off?
I have not turned it off. It is still on. Anybody got any questions online?
Unmute, say something. I guess not.
I know that Dave saves the recordings of these and normally gives them to Russ. I'll send Russ the PDF and he'll put up. But if anybody wants the PDF, because it's got the links and stuff, let me know. I'll send it out.
Could you fill up?
Yeah.
Can you go back to the one that had the groups? I got that one.
That one?
I'll get that. There was something. Screen back or two.
Yeah, that was just one of them's the default group, and one of them's that's not gonna to help you, like that poke locals group. Somebody's got to give you a.
And you said it's not all that active, right?
No, everybody just uses long fast. We were testing it out. A new version had come out that had that changed the encryption, so we were seeing if it helped any. It didn't. So.
Thought I had to take you on the telephone pole. Yeah, that telephone, kind of like the Navy with the 0 and the no.
Yeah.
All right, well, Appreciate y'all being here. I got anything else? All right, Jim.
If you want to look at devices, feel free. I can answer questions about them.
Are they radioactive? Take a picture of it, make sure it's know when you're
Same number. I know what I brought.
Sorry. When you're in the software, you see other nodes around you.
Yes.
Does it matter if you're connected to the one on our house or the one on your desk?
So you're going to see the same, because what's going to happen is the node outside is going to rebroadcast those packets. Yeah.
You see everything he sees
Right.
for 5 seconds.
Yep. Yeah. So that's a Raspberry Pi Zero. That's the Meshtastic node, and then it's just connected USB. And then there's a software that I ran on it that does the BBS function of it.
Okay.
All right, everybody, we'll say goodnight for this
Thank
month.
you, buddy.
We'll see everybody next month.
Thank
Same
you.
channel.